Welcome to the first episode of Spark, a series of interviews gathering inspirational insights from leaders within the hospitality industry. I'm Terry Hibbert, and I'm here today at the Savoy, a Fairmont hotel, with Goei-Jones, Federico Toresi, and Una Barac. So I'd like to start by understanding what drew each of you to interior design and architecture.
I think I was 11 when I decided to become an architect. My parents are civil engineers, so I always wanted to do something in the construction industry, but be a little bit more creative.
Well, my parents actually sort of wanted me to, because initially I wanted to do just pure design, but they sort of felt that architecture had a little bit more weight in what you get at the end of it.
What drew me to architecture was that it was flexible. I didn't really have to make up my mind about what was going on until my first degree was done. And most importantly, I wouldn't have to wear a suit.
You're all very well travelled, and I'd like to understand how much of an impression has these countries made on your design styles?
Being Italian hasn't really affected the style of my designs, but has affected the understanding of what design does to a space and to objects and how people respond to that. And I very much incorporate that into everything I do today.
New Zealand is very isolated, and so I quite like to sort of create designs that kind of feel quiet and away from the hustle and bustle, because in New Zealand you're definitely away from everything.
I'm very proud of my heritage, and it does help me approach design, especially when I'm working back home, because I understand where the developers are coming from. Sometimes it's also helping developers understand an international branded operator and vice versa. So I think heritage and culture is really important.
And you all have your own individual styles. What two words best describe your design style?
I think it's quite egotistical to have a signature. I approach each project as a blank piece of canvas, and I really try and respond to the client's needs, understanding what the developer needs, what does the operator expect, and finally, and most importantly, what do the guests expect.
I don't have a design style as such, but I design in such a way that everything has a purpose, and that purpose is expressed through the details in a way that makes those things beautiful.
A lot of the projects I tend to base it on the location and the requirements of the brand. But as a little sort of fun nugget thing, I tend to try to put a dog in every project I finish. Really? So if you look at certain properties that I've done, you'll find a little dog somewhere in the hotel.
So when you're designing a new hotel or refurbing an existing one, where do you start? Do you start with a blank sheet of paper? Do you start with pulling a mood board together, or do you just wing it?
Do you tell the truth on that?
I think the important part is to listen to the brief, listen what the client is asking us to do, and then I say it back to them. And then it forms the foundation of the actual brief that we go back with our ideas on, and we can present sketches, and we can then present mood boards and material palettes, just to make sure that the beginning of the conversation, there's a mutual understanding, and we can then go off and deliver the project that the client really, really wants.
To start a project, a brand guideline is very important because it narrows down the direction that you want to go to. I just sort of feel that if you don't have a guideline, you tend to try too many different things, and it's better if you just choose a path and focus on it.
You've all been very successful at what you've achieved. What's the best bit of advice that you've been given?
Listen. So listen and understand what your client expects from you, and understand the project brief. And another one I would probably give is just, if it's a tough day, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and carry on.
Always have more than one reason to do something. Make sure you can back up what you're presenting. So if somebody shoots down your idea, you have another reason why you've done something. And even if you can give it 2 or 3 reasons, if 1 or 2 get shot down, you might get to keep that into your design. And the other idea that came through is don't overcomplicate things. Just keep things simple, and people will understand them better.
The best advice I've been given is that you will never please everybody. And it's come useful as my role as design manager, because I have the board of directors who I report to, but at the same time, the brands, and you tend to be the piggy in the middle, and you just know that you keep going because you know you're not going to please everybody.
So bringing creativity into hotel design, I guess, is your greatest challenge. Sight is your primary sense when walking into a hotel. What would be your next key sense that you focus on to achieve that creativity?
For me, it's all the senses, because it is about the spatial design, it's about the lighting, a good night's sleep, a good shower, good food, so it's all the senses, really.
I think the next important sense would be smell, simply because it triggers a lot of memory in people, and the whole point of traveling and hospitality is to create treasured memories.
Technology is evolving at a phenomenal rate on a daily basis. How is that affecting hotel design? Is it helping, hindering?
Technology in hotel design or guest room design doesn't really need to be on show, but actually can really help us manage the guest experience. For example, GRMS systems that know when a guest is checking in and power up the room to the temperature that they like, because we have data on their profiles. Or we can even save money for the owner by shutting down certain spaces when they're not being used. Or we can do something that's a little bit more intuitive, like lighting the way to the bathroom when you step out of bed, so you have no light pollution, but there is a light when you need it. Or have circadian lighting wake you up in the morning with the feel of a sunrise, for example.
For me, I'm looking to the future and trying to understand how will things like artificial intelligence perhaps help later down the line serve the guests instead of waiters, or will we have things like virtual reality tours of the hotels before we book them? Will the signature chefs be doing 3D food printing in the restaurants? So I'm trying to kind of look 10 years or 20 years ahead.
Sustainability is a huge factor in today's world. How do you approach the environmental issues that we face?
The way we design and specify products, we try and make sure that they are as local as possible, not traveling halfway across the globe and creating huge embodied energy that's not required. And then it's also thinking about how to cut waste in use of the hotels.
Accor subscribes to a Planet 21 ethos, and it's a set of regulations and rules that we have to all our hotels to comply with, and that's continuously evolving. We are researching new ways of saving energy and water consumption, but as well new ways of producing furniture and using materials which are cradle to cradle certified. For example, we've discovered an MDF iteration which is actually made out of recycled towels and sheets from hotels, as well as offcuts of fabrics from furniture manufacturing.
At GLH, we're doing exactly what every other hotel operator is doing. We're reducing the amount of plastics we use. We don't use straws anymore and things like that. But I like to think about it more at a macro scale. A lot of the hotel business nowadays and the owners, they develop a hotel with a brand in mind. It'll last for 5 years, they get their money back, and then they sell it on. And often now, the feedback we're getting is that suppliers are over-designing their furniture because the owners didn't need it to last for more than 5 years. So the challenge, I think, is about reusing and upcycling. How can we make that more fashionable?
So you'd have all worked on some great projects. What's the one project that is the closest to your heart or you have the fondest memories of?
A pivotal moment in my design career came when I was asked to design the Montreux Jazz Cafe at the Fairmont-le-Montreux Palace in Switzerland. It's a magical property overlooking Lake Geneva, and through the development of the Jazz Cafe, me and my team became friends with the staff and the owners and the brand, and ended up pretty much redesigning the whole hotel, including all its bars, restaurants, and the guest rooms and the suites that overlook the lake. And it's a truly magical place. When you open the windows in the morning, lake's in front of you, the mountains are gleaming with the sunrise, and it's pretty much the reason why I'm now working for Accor.
I think in terms of my recent accomplishment, I would say the Hard Rock Hotel is is close to my heart, simply because I've not done anything as big. It's 900 rooms and it's right in Marble Arch, and so we had a lot of logistical issues that we need to overcome. And yeah, it's just a great sort of work that I've done and lots of challenges.
All my projects and clients are equally important, so I wouldn't single one out as my favorite, but I guess the one I'm most recently proud of is Hotel Icador, boutique and luxury hotel. It's part of the leading hotels of the world, and a very spectacular property with ADR of £1,000 a night for the standard room and over 4,000 for a presidential suite. It also has a magnificent spa, outdoor facilities, and a really special signature restaurant.